I came back from 5 weeks in Singapore, expecting Brooke at the gate with that photo-ready smile she used whenever she wanted people to think we were the couple everyone envied. Instead, her younger sister Naomi was standing near the escalators, holding a paper cup of coffee and a phone she kept checking like it owed her an explanation. For a few seconds, I just stood there with my carry-on digging into my shoulder and my brain refusing to catch up. "Where's Brooke?" I asked. Naomi lowered the phone. She was 26, and for the 4 years I had known her, she had always been Brooke's little sister, a label I kept on her because it was safe and easy. That afternoon, after 5 weeks of hotel breakfasts and video calls at 2 in the morning, she did not look like anybody's little anything. "She got held up," Naomi said. "Held up doing what? That's oddly specific of you to ask. She asked me to grab you." "She did." Naomi's smile flickered. Not gone, just flickered. "Can we skip the customs interrogation? You look like a man who fought his roommate to the armrest and lost." I had the aisle. "Then you have no excuse." That was Naomi, quick and a little too honest for comfort. While everyone else in her family was busy smoothing things over, I kept glancing past her shoulder like Brooke might materialize from behind a cluster of strangers with balloons. Nothing. Just people finding the people who remembered to come get them. "My fiancé forgot my flight," I said. "I didn't say that." "You didn't have to." She reached for my bag. "I can carry it myself." "I know." I was trying to look useful. "You drove here. In her car? Because mine has a headlight out." I almost smiled. Almost. Something in my chest had already gone wrong, and I was old enough to recognize the feeling. It wasn't jealousy. It was the quiet alarm a person gets when a story stops adding up. "Where are we going?" I asked. "My parents' place. Mom's cooking. Brooke will be there." Naomi looked toward the sliding doors instead of at me. "Let's just get you out of this terminal." That was answer enough. If I had known where that car ride would end, I would have left my suitcase on the carousel and gone straight home. Instead, I followed her to the garage, tossed my bag in the trunk, and got into a car that smelled like vanilla air freshener and gas station coffee. "How was the trip?" she asked once we merged onto the highway. "Long. I spent 5 weeks convincing a client their timeline was impossible and then hitting it anyway. Heroic and underpaid. Corporate strategy has a strict policy against heroes." She laughed and then caught herself, like laughing too easily might be disrespectful to whatever was sitting quietly between us. Brooke hadn't been warm before I left. That was the part I had trained myself not to look at directly. We were 7 weeks from a wedding, and she had been distracted, short-tempered, always somewhere else, even when she was in the room. When I asked what was wrong, she told me I was manufacturing tension where none existed. So I did what I always did around her. I stayed calm. I kept the peace. I told myself that was maturity, and it sounds mature until you realize peace can just be denial, wearing a nicer outfit. Naomi glanced at me at a red light. "You're quiet. I'm tired." "No, you're doing the thing." "What thing?" "The customer service smile. The one where you pretend not to notice something because everyone around you is pretending harder." I turned to her. "You always this direct with jet-lagged men. Only the ones marrying my sister." Lucky me. She tapped the wheel with her thumb. "Daniel, I really thought she'd be at my parents' by now." "When did you last talk to her?" "This morning. She said she'd be there." Naomi hesitated. "She said she'd handle it." "That is not the same sentence." "No," she agreed. "It is not." Her parents lived in a tidy subdivision outside the city, the kind of neighborhood where every lawn looked recently disciplined. Carol and Frank were decent people who believed most problems could be managed with sweet tea and composed expressions. They greeted me like nothing was wrong. Carol hugged me hard. "You look exhausted, sweetheart." Frank shook my hand. "Good to have you home." "Brooke will be sorry she missed the airport." "Where is Brooke?" I asked. The room paused a half beat too long. Carol drifted toward the kitchen. "She's been swamped. You know how she gets." "No," I said. "I'm asking where she is." Frank cleared his throat and mentioned she might stop by later. Naomi stood near the doorway with her arms crossed, watching her parents dodge a question like it was a live wire. I looked at Carol. Did she know I was landing today? Of course she knew, honey. Sit down and eat something first. I sat because I had manners, and because sometimes you let people show you exactly how far they're willing to go before you make your move. Dinner was pot roast and attention so thick you could have served it on a plate beside it. Carol asked about Singapore 3 separate times. Frank discussed the weather, then a neighbor's fence, then the weather again. Naomi barely touched her food. Finally, I set my fork down. "Naomi, can I talk to you outside for a second?" Carol looked up too fast. "Now." "Yes, now." The patio air was cooler than the house. I turned to her. No more polite answer. "Where is your sister?" Naomi rubbed both hands over her face. "I don't know. You picked me up because she asked you to. She texted yesterday, said she might be tied up, and could I grab you if needed? If needed. I thought it meant a dress fitting ran long. Then this morning, she stopped answering. When did you last see her? Naomi looked at the ground. Before you left, I stared at her. You haven't seen your own sister in 5 weeks. No. And your parents. They say she's busy. Impressive. 4 adults in one family and not a single calendar between them. Did she have a key to my place? I asked. Naomi nodded slowly. For the plants and for Reggie. Reggie was my cat, currently at a neighbor's because Brooke said she had too much going on to check in on him during my last week away. At the time, I had accepted that. Peace again, beautiful and useless. She's at my house, I said. Naomi didn't answer. You know that too, don't you? I don't know it, but yes, that's what I'm afraid of. I nodded once. Okay, what are you gonna do? Finish dinner. What? I'm not storming out of your parents' house like a reality show contestant. I'll eat. I'll thank your mother. Then I'll go home. Naomi looked like she wanted to argue and then seemed to understand my calm wasn't weakness. It was the last polite layer before something permanent. Inside, Carol offered pie. I took a slice. Frank complimented my work ethic. I thanked him. When I finally stood, Carol said Brooke might call later. I picked up my coat. She won't need to. Frank frowned. What does that mean? It means I know where I'm going. Naomi walked me to the rental car. I can come with you. No, she's your sister. She's my fiancée. Naomi looked at the ground. Not sure she remembers that lately. That makes 2 of us, I said, and got in the car. My house sat on a quiet street 15 minutes away. Bought 2 years before Brooke and I got engaged. Before deposit checks and seating charts and arguments about napkin colors, I didn't care about but had learned to pretend mattered. The porch light was on. Brooke's car was in the driveway, so it was a truck I didn't recognize. I sat outside for a moment, not because I didn't know what to do, but because there are moments that split a life into before and after, and rushing through them doesn't make the split any cleaner. I unlocked the door. Music was playing low. 2 glasses sat on the counter. A blanket that wasn't mine was draped over my couch. A man came out of the hallway in socks, holding his phone, and stopped cold when he saw me. Who are you? He asked. I looked past him. Brooke appeared behind him wearing one of my old college hoodies. For a second, nobody moved. Then she said, Daniel, not your name, I'm sorry, just my name. Like I was the one who had shown up uninvited. I set my keys on the table. You have 10 minutes. Excuse me. 10 minutes to gather whatever belongs to you and leave. I'm being generous. I just got off a 14-hour flight and my patience is jet lagged too. Brooke stepped forward. Don't do this. I'm not doing anything. I came home. It's not what it looks like. I glanced at the 2 glasses, his shoes by the door, her suitcase near the stairs. That line deserves a laugh track. The man raised both hands. I didn't know she was engaged, did I? He looked at Brooke. That's a yes with better lighting, I said. Brooke's face hardened. You've been gone 5 weeks, and apparently my house got lonely. Don't humiliate me. That one almost impressed me. You invited a man into my home while I was overseas paying for a wedding you stopped caring about weeks ago. Humiliation beat me here. She crossed her arms. You're being cruel. Cruel would be calling your parents and asking if they want to help you pack. I'm choosing efficiency. The man moved fast after that. Shoes, jacket, keys, muttering apologies like they were a universal solvent. At the door, I asked his name. Marcus. Marcus, forget my address. Brooke grabbed her purse. You're really throwing me out. Yes, it's almost midnight. Nice timing for an objection. She stared at me, waiting for the old version of me who would ask questions for 2 hours and accept 3 weak explanations to avoid upsetting 2 families. That man had missed his flight somewhere between the terminal and this living room. You can stay with your parents, I told her. They'll ask questions. Then I'll finally have a hobby. Her eyes sharpened. You think Naomi's innocent in all this. What? She picked you up, didn't she? So helpful, so sweet. Don't be naive. I opened the front door. Out. She came close, voice low. You'll regret this. I already regret plenty. This isn't one of them. After she left, I stood in my own living room while my life sat around me looking used. I didn't break anything, didn't yell. I opened windows, stripped the blanket off the couch, put both glasses in the sink, because apparently even a personal disaster still comes with dishes. Then I called Naomi. She picked up on the first ring. Tell me she wasn't there with someone. She was. Naomi said something under her breath her mother would not have approved of. I'm coming over. No, I don't need a driveway showdown tonight. She used your house. Yes, I heard you the first time. Meet me somewhere neutral. Neutral like what? A diner on 5th. 20 minutes, fine, but I'm ordering fries and judging your composure. Seems fair. The diner was half empty, and the coffee tasted like it had opinions. Naomi slid into the booth across from me before she'd even taken her coat off. Tell me exactly, not dramatically, just what happened. By the time I finished, she had both hands wrapped around her mug. My sister is unbelievable. She's very believable. That's the problem. Naomi looked up. You're making jokes. I'm choosing not to throw a napkin dispenser through that window. Healthy growth. She laughed once, then covered her mouth. That wasn't funny. It was a little funny. It's awful, Naomi. Both things can be true. That's adulthood. A buffet of garbage with occasional pie. She studied me. Are you okay? No. Good. I mean, not good, but better than if you'd said yes. The fries came. She pushed the plate toward me. Eat. I'm not hungry. You just removed your fiancé from your own house. You can have one fry. It won't ruin your tragic discipline. I took one. There, proud of you. We stayed until the waitress started wiping down the counters around us. At some point, Naomi said, You know she'll spin this. I know. She'll say you were cold, gone too much, controlling. She could say I personally canceled Christmas and people would believe the first story they hear. Then I'll have to decide whether staying quiet is still noble when it lets someone else lie, I said. Naomi held my gaze, then dropped it to her plate. I hate that I'm part of this. You're not part of what she did. I'm her sister. You didn't choose that. No, but I chose to pick you up tonight. I chose to sit here. I'm not complaining. Good, because I'm excellent in a crisis. Slightly bossy, but excellent. In the parking lot, she stopped beside my car. I don't want you going home alone tonight. I'll be fine. I didn't ask if you'd survive. I said I don't want it. That landed differently. Naomi, what? This is complicated. That's a hilarious word for it. She stepped closer, not enough to be dramatic, just enough that I stopped noticing the cold. I also know you spent 4 years being loyal to someone who treated loyalty like a subscription she could cancel whenever she got bored. That's harsh. I'm trying to behave. You call that behaving, yes. I looked at her, really looked, not as Brooke's sister, not as the funny one at family barbecues, just as Naomi, a woman who had shown up when she didn't have to and was standing there angrier and more honest than anyone else in that house had been all evening. I used to think you were just the easier person to talk to, I admitted. She went still. At the family dinners, when Brooke would disappear, you'd sit with me and ask about work, about nothing heavy. I told myself it was because you were friendly. That's one explanation. What's the other? She looked at me for a long second, then reached up and touched my cheek, careful, offering, not taking. The other is that you married the wrong sister's timeline. I've wanted you longer than I should have, she whispered. There was no performance in it, just a truth she had clearly been carrying for a while. I covered her hand with mine, and I reached for her hand anyway, holding it between us instead of letting it go. I can't make you my escape hatch. I'm not a hatch. No, you're not. That's why I'm saying it. I'm not asking for anything tonight. Good, but don't insult me by pretending there's nothing here. The next few days turned my house into something I hadn't expected. Not romantic at first, practical and quiet. Naomi worked from my kitchen table while her own apartment lease finished out. I went back to the office and answered emails from coworkers who had no idea my personal life had been hit by a truck. My cat decided almost immediately that Naomi was his preferred human, which felt like betrayal with extra shedding. We kept our doors open at night in a way that made the boundary obvious and the awareness impossible to ignore. A week later, I asked her to dinner, an actual dinner, not takeout. You mean like a date? She asked. Yes. I know it's messy. I know people will talk. I know you're her sister. I know all of it, and I still want to take you out. Public place? No hiding. Her expression softened. No hiding. No hiding. Okay, one dinner. And if it feels wrong, we stop. And if it feels right, then we admit we have a bigger problem, I said. She smiled. Okay. The restaurant was small and unassuming, and we spent the first 20 minutes pretending this was normal. The waiter asked if we were celebrating anything. Naomi said, poor timing. I choked on my water. He wisely disappeared. Outside afterward, she stopped by my car. I had fun, she said. Don't sound so surprised. I'm surprised at me. I didn't spend the whole night feeling guilty. That's allowed. Is it? Yes. Don't kiss me if you're trying to prove something. I'm not. Don't kiss me if tomorrow you're going to call this a mistake. I won't. So I kissed her. Careful at first, then less careful when she leaned in like she'd been arguing with herself for years and finally lost. For a few weeks, we lived inside a small, protected world, going to movies where she narrated the plot until I threatened to change seats. Painting the guest room a color, she said, finally erased the landlord energy. We didn't rush anything physically. There was wanting, sure, but there was also a lot of stopping before a moment became something neither of us was ready to carry. We should have known the quiet wouldn't last. It started with a coworker stopping by my office. My wife saw a post online, he said. Something from a friend of a friend about you. He handed me his phone. It wasn't from Brooke directly. Of course not. It was from a friend of hers, vague and dramatic in that specific way people write when they want attention, but still want deniability. Some women lose everything because the people closest to them wanted what they had. The comments underneath had names I recognized. Snake, Homewrecker, Poor Brooke, Naomi's name again and again. When I got home, Naomi was at the kitchen table, laptop open, face pale. You saw it, I said. It's stupid. I said it's stupid. Doesn't mean it isn't hurting you. She stood and gripped the counter. My aunt texted that she's praying. I find some shame. An old friend unfollowed me. My mom called 3 times and didn't leave a message. I'll handle it. How? I'll call your sister and tell her to stop. You think she'll care? She should. She won't. She thinks you're too decent to embarrass her. She may be overestimating my customer service. I don't want to ruin you, Naomi said quietly. You're not that powerful, I told her, and a small laugh escaped despite herself. But listen to me. Your sister did this because she needs everyone looking at us instead of what she did. That doesn't make you guilty. It makes you convenient. So we stopped letting her choose the target. I called Brooke with Naomi sitting nearby, arms wrapped around herself. She answered on the 4th ring, sounding almost amused. This is unexpected. Stop spreading stories about your sister, I said. Is that what she told you? I've seen the posts. I didn't write them. No, you just fed the people who did. You're paranoid. I came home to a man in my house. My standards for paranoid have shifted. Silence, then coldly, you don't want to go there. That's why I'm calling privately. Take it down, correct the story, leave Naomi out of it. Or what? Or I tell everyone the truth publicly, she laughed. You care too much about looking respectable. You always have. That's why you were easy. You've confused quiet with afraid for the last time. Post anything else, and I'll tell everyone exactly who was already obsessed with someone else before the engagement ended. I'll make it worse. I believe you, so back off. No, she said, and the word landed like a door closing. I gave you a chance. You didn't take it. I ended the call. Naomi looked at me. She won't stop. No. What now? Now I decide whether staying private is still worth letting you get crushed for it. She stood. Don't do it for me if you're not ready to live with it. That's the point. I am ready. Are you sure? No, but I'm sure that silence is helping her, not us. That night I wrote the post. Not angry, not dramatic, no insults, just facts. I wrote that I came home from a business trip on a specific date. My fiancée did not meet me at the airport. Her sister did. I wrote that I later found my fiancé at my house with another man, without my knowledge. I wrote that I ended the engagement that. I wrote that Naomi had never hidden anything from me and had been attacked for refusing to lie for her. I attached the flight confirmation, the text asking Naomi to do the pickup, and a doorbell camera clip of Marcus leaving with Brooke behind him. No music, no speech, no name calling. The facts didn't need decorating. Before I posted it, I handed Naomi the laptop. Read it. I trust you. Read it anyway. She read every line. Her face changed twice, once at how little blame I put on her, and once when she reached the sentence that said Naomi told me the truth when it would have been easier to protect her sister. You don't have to say that, she said. Yes, I do. People will say we planned this. People say a lot of things. I can't build my life around every bad opinion. If you post this, I'm staying, she said. You don't owe me that. I'm not saying I owe you. I'm choosing it. I clicked a post. The first hour was ugly. The second was quiet. By morning, the story had turned completely. A bridesmaid sent an apology. Brooke's cousin deleted 3 posts. Carol left a voicemail that was mostly crying. Frank sent a text that said, "We need to talk when you're ready," which was about as emotional as Frank got without medical intervention. Brooke called 11 times. I answered none of them. A few days later, Carol asked us to come for dinner. Naomi stared at the message for a long time. No, she finally said. Okay, you don't want to. I want you to decide. She looked at me. That's annoying. Healthy boundaries usually are. Fine, 1 hour. And if anyone calls me a name, I'm leaving with the bread. Carol was crying before we made it through the door. I'm sorry, she said, holding Naomi's face in her hands. I should have listened. Frank shook my hand hard. I owe you an apology. You don't owe me a speech. Good. I'm bad at those. Brooke wasn't there. Her absence had weight. but it also made room to breathe. Dinner was awkward but honest. Carol asked Naomi how she'd really been holding up. Frank admitted they'd been too willing to believe Brooke's version because it was easier than facing what she'd done. Naomi didn't let them off cheaply. You didn't just believe her, you let her use me. I know, Carol said. I needed you, Naomi said, and Carol reached for her hand, and Naomi let her take it, but not quickly, and that mattered. Later, on the back patio, Carol found me. She looks different with you, she said. She's the same person. No, she's less careful. Do you love her? I didn't dodge it. Yes. She loved you before she should have, Carol said. I think I did too. I just hadn't admitted it yet. Don't make her pay for Brooke's choices, Carol said. I won't. And don't ask her to pay for yours either, I answered. Carol blinked, then nodded slowly. On the drive home, Naomi held my hand the whole way. Well, nobody died, she said. Strong family progress. I love you, I told her. Good, that's your response. I'm processing. Take your time. I'll sit here emotionally exposed and very comfortable. She laughed, then leaned over and kissed me. I love you too, Daniel. 3 months later, Naomi officially moved in, not because she needed somewhere to hide, but because one night she looked around the kitchen, my cat asleep near her feet, 2 mugs in the sink, her laptop on the table, and said, "This already feels like home." Are we pretending it doesn't? I asked. I'm done pretending. It was never my best skill. She moved in the next weekend with 3 boxes, 2 plants, and a very firm opinion about my couch. I lost that argument. I kept my recliner. Marriage-level negotiations without the paperwork. As for Brooke, she moved out of state for a while and stayed with a friend. The wedding deposits were gone. People quietly stopped inviting her to things, not because I asked them to, but because nobody enjoys realizing they were used as a prop. Carol still talked to her. Of course, she was still her daughter, but even Carol stopped cleaning up every mess. I didn't celebrate any of it. That would have tied too much of my life to hers. I just noticed the noise around her got smaller once the truth got louder. My life got better in ordinary ways. Better coffee, because Naomi actually cared about it. Better weekends, because she dragged me to places I would have dismissed and then caught me enjoying myself anyway. Better evenings, because I stopped having to read the emotional weather the second I walked through the door. We bought a small place the following year, a good kitchen for her, a yard for the cat, who claimed all of it and contributed nothing financially. Sometimes people still look at us and do the math. Former fiancé, younger sister, wrong order, bad timing. I understand why. Life handed them a messy equation. But Naomi and I know the part most people miss. We didn't start because it was easy. We started because when everything got ugly, she told the truth and stayed. And I stayed too. Not out of guilt, not to punish anyone, but because for the first time in years, I didn't have to choose between peace and honesty. I finally had both, and the woman waiting for me at the airport that day turned out to be exactly who I should have been coming home to all along. So here's the question. If you came home and found the truth waiting inside your own house, what would you have done? And do you think Daniel was right to make it public? Or should he have kept it quiet and let the people he loved decide for themselves? Tell me your opinion in the comments. And if you liked the video, subscribe to our channel.